On January 20th, 2022, Hulu released a show called Single Drunk Female. While the show had relatively low expectations attached to it, it has so far crushed any and all naysayers with its hilarious and heartfelt plot and amazingly relatable characters. So what is all the hype about? And is it based on a true story? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the new dramedy and answer all of the questions you may have about this new show, including if it's worth watching or not. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So what is the show about? Single Drunk Female was recently dropped on Hulu and is being raved about by both critics and audiences alike, mostly because of its excellent mix of drama and comedy, along with its very relatable plot. So what is it about? Well, the show revolves around former alcoholic Samantha Fink, played by Sophia Black-D'Elia, who goes through life working to stay sober. And as a 28-year-old woman, that sometimes isn't easy, especially when she lives with her mother and has to deal with her ex-boyfriend, who is now dating her best friend, or should I say her ex-best friend. Obviously, these details combined would make for many hilarious scenarios, and the show capitalizes on these frequently, using the unique and oftentimes hilarious circumstances to make some unforgettable scenes. The show has an incredible mixture of emotion, pain, and comedy like no other show on TV. At the heart of the show, however, it is a story about a woman accepting her alcoholism and finding a way to navigate life while staying sober. While it is a bleak story, it is a relatable story for many, which leads fans of the show to ask, is it based on a true story, or is it just a well-written, relatable show? Is it based on a real person? As it turns out, the show is in fact based on a true story, and the main character is actually a retelling of the life of the show's executive producer and creator, Simone Finch, who struggled with alcoholism since 2012. According to Finch, she began to write the show back in 2012, using it as a way to cope with her alcoholism and find a way to ease her into sobriety. She said that she started writing the show before she got sober and started to make more sense of the show as she continued on her journey of sobriety. She called the script a living script, as the show changed drastically as she got more and more sober, which makes sense, of course, because when she began writing the show, it was not about a woman who wants to get sober. It was about a woman actually getting sober and living her life after her sobriety, which was nothing like the initial draft of the show, according to Finch. When Finch showed it to her writing mentor, he said that the show had potential, but it was lacking something still. Her mentor also struggled with alcohol addiction and was farther than Finch in his sobriety journey, and apparently helped Finch a great deal, not just in her writing, but in her sobriety too. He helped me a lot getting the draft into manageable shape where we could start taking it out, and we did. Finch continued on in an interview with Entertainment Weekly by saying, for about 2 years, we tried doing a lot of things, and it didn't work, but I think I wasn't accepting of my alcoholism, and my writing reflected that. According to Finch, she would write and rewrite the same scenes and the same episodes over and over, trying to find a point in which she was proud of the show. It took some time, but it was eventually found by Finch and her writing mentor. The show shares many moments from Finch's real life. According to Finch, the show has many moments from her actual journey with sobriety and her battle with alcohol that allow for the character's pain to come from a very real place. This, of course, is one of the elements that separates Single Drunk Female from other shows, because unlike other incredible dramas or thrillers, the character is going through a battle so real and so raw that many people watching can directly relate to each character. For example, the mother's character's view of the father character is a great deal like how Finch's mother talked about Finch's father. She talked about the similarities in an interview with Huffington Post, saying there's certain aspects of the show, especially with the mom character, talking about the father, all that comes from a real place. Finch also did not hold back when discussing her past with alcohol and how it is essentially the same backstory for the main character in the show. Like Finch, the main character in the show begins drinking at age 15 and spends a good portion of her younger years romanticizing alcohol and believing it to be much better and much more rewarding than it actually is. It took Finch a long time to realize how ugly alcohol really is, and that putting it on a pedestal was part of her downfall, and she could not begin to rise until she profoundly understood how ugly alcohol abuse really is. The last couple of years of it were really not glamorous or fun. I think that for a while I thought drinking was this romantic thing, and I think Sam has that too, she said. Then you get into it, and it's actually a coping mechanism for all these other things. It's not romantic at all. There was no punch held back during the show's creation. Finch stated in the same interview that there are moments in the first season season that are very difficult to watch, but she is very glad she decided to do it that way. She did not want any of the hardships caused by alcohol abuse to be lessened by censoring them. She wanted her journey to be shown on TV exactly the way she recalls it, so that people who are in her scenario know that if she can beat it, so can they. Finch said, "I'll just say episode 8 of season 1 is a really tough episode to watch," she said. "We did it, and I'm really grateful for that. I, for one, am glad that they decided to not sugarcoat an issue as scary and as serious as this one. If Finch decided to make her show less graphic, it might completely take away the punch that the show is intended to pack. The show will have some tough and downright disgusting moments, but if it were not for those moments, people might not understand the severity of the situation or the people who are suffering through alcoholism, and watching the show might not stick around if they cannot find truth in this disease due to its possible censorship. It is important to Finch and other people who have suffered or continue to suffer through the disease that it is addiction, to show the actual hardships and the actual events that alcoholics suffer through, to make sure the audience sees exactly what it's like to suffer through alcoholism. Alcoholism comes in all shapes, sizes, and ages, according to Finch. As we mentioned earlier in the video, Finch began drinking at age 15, and this was where she began her addiction, which, when you think about it, is a very common age for alcoholics to begin drinking. Some people get it from siblings, parents, other family members, or bad friends. And even though they are so young, this is the beginning of a life-altering addiction. However, when you think about it, most media that covers alcoholism does not show how young most alcoholics begin their addiction and how long they suffer for, which is exactly what Finch wants to highlight. Finch wants her audience to know that you can be any age and begin your addiction, including age 15. Finch also pointed out that most stories centered around addiction do not highlight the journey from a woman's perspective, and this is a crime according to Finch. Her show is truly groundbreaking because of its protagonist perspective, and the star actress on the show, Black Dahlia, agrees. "I think that we often don't see stories of recovery told from a younger female perspective, and I think that it can affect anybody at any age at any time." Finch's message is a noble one, and one that she is proud to share now that she is 7 years sober, and one she is glad to share in a comedic and dramatic story for people of all ages. If you have not started watching Single Drunk Female, you can catch up on Hulu right now, and we here at the channel recommend it. That's all we have for you guys today on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Single Drunk Female, what do you think of it so far? Let us know in the comments section below. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a like on the video and to subscribe to the channel with the bell rung to ensure that you don't miss a single upload from us. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.